welcome to episode 31. This is our first episode for 2020, so we thought it would be a great topic to start on, would be finances and how you can save more money and spend less money in this coming year. So Mom's going to share things that worked for our family and just some creative ideas and hopefully help you all save some money in the future.
There's a saying that necessity is the mother of invention. And so when you have necessity and you don't have the funds for it, it's time to think outside the box, be creative, find ways that work for you as a family. So we're looking forward to sharing that. And we'll be sharing a fun letter that was to Ann Landers years ago and incorporating that into our closing. All right. Now with some of the categories, we're starting with clothing. And I think I mentioned in an earlier video that my husband would give me $100 for every 6 months, and I would go down to thrift stores where there's in Anaheim, in our area, there were a lot of big thrift stores, and I would take the waist measurement and the inseam for the boys and just come home with a lot of good items. So that was fun for the children. And Christy, you continue this on for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, we just, even though now we don't have to do thrift store shopping, finances aren't as tight as they once were. I think it's still fun. My sister and I both enjoy doing this still, and the shirt I'm wearing is actually a thrift store find. And also one thing that we've discovered in our area here is consignment stores, and that can be just a way to recycle clothing. So I take clothes there, they'll give me money or store credit for those items, and then I can just purchase additional clothes. So that's one way that you don't have to spend any money. You can just, kind of a recycling system for old clothes.
So yes, it's been fun to see how the kids are still doing that. I tend to buy my purses and a lot of my scarves at thrift stores. And so anyway, also sewing skills. I remember going to a garage sale one time, and there was a perfectly good blouse, but it had a button missing, and the lady says, well, she doesn't sew, so she was selling it very cheap. So having just basic clothing repair and skills will help you go a long way too. Christy was our button sewer for a while, and so the boys would pay her 25 cents for sewing on a button, so it was her little income for a while in the family. And also we had 5 boys, so we had grow into boxes, and so when there was some really nice clothes that weren't worn out yet, the boys would look forward to being able to get into the next grow into box and see items that they could use. Now for food, in the area of food, for a while it was pretty busy. We were running a homeschool co-op group, and my husband came home one time with a box of apples that had been given to him, so we made the most of that, and we peeled and cut up the apples, made apple pies, and froze them. And we froze them. Each of the older 3 had about 3 pies that they made themselves, and we could serve those to guests that came, and that was fun to give them credit for that. We also for a time did 30 meals in a day. We took some of our favorite recipes, got all the supplies for the month, and we prepared the things that could be frozen, and just made it really easy to put those things out of the freezer the night before we were going to use it, and simplified life a lot. Also, of course, buying seasonal items and using them while they're fresh and it's their season. And bulk buying. You might be in a place where you can be part of a co-op ordering in bulk. Seasonings, and baking goods, a lot of things coming in bulk. Of course, Costco, you can buy in bulk there too, and Smart and Final. So just find ways to cut costs and stretch that budget. And Christy, I'm going to talk to you about, let you jump in here about vacations and what we enjoyed as a family.
Yeah, so with 7 kids, we couldn't really afford to stay in hotels or go to resorts or things like that. But we did do a lot of camping and backpacking. And so it was kind of, once we had the supplies, we didn't have to buy it every year. The only thing we had to purchase before the trip was food. We would go to Costco for that and just divide up all the food between all of us and the cost, and then do a backpacking trip in the Sierra Nevadas. So that was something that we loved doing growing up, and didn't cost very much money. So.
Good. And then when we would go on travel vacations with the older 3, we were doing California history. So I was home with the little ones, but my husband, we did a study on the Gold Rush era, and we talked about what the Bible says about trying to seek wealth, and then he took them up to the Gold Rush camps and mines, and it was a lot of fun for them. So you can incorporate education into your state outings, and that's fun. And when it was time to give gifts to people, we would do things like we could do baking, like the pie making and bread makings. And we also had Christy learn to crochet, so she crocheted slippers for everybody or blankets and gave some of those to friends too. And then coupons. Tell me about the coupons that you would make, your children would give.
Yeah, this just doesn't involve any money. We would just make coupons for free back massages, or baking someone cookies, or doing something fun with them for the day. So that's one way that we would give gifts as kids, is just giving each other coupons for fun activities.
And then entrepreneurs, encourage your kids to be creative. Our 2 youngest boys with a neighbor boy formed a group called the 3 Musketeers, and they went up and down the block and put their advertising out that they could clean yards and all, and they actually were hired to do some mailings for a business. A neighbor across the street had a business, so they made good money with that. And Michelle made money by teaching piano lessons. She had taught her own siblings, and she really enjoyed that and was good at it. And then our boys would do lawn mowing, different kind of things like that. Christy did a camp cleaning business with her friends, and she would keep track of hours, and there was a Christian camp locally, and they would clean it up after retreats. And then also, Christy was given a harp when she was 13 and learned to play it, and she started a harp business. And she actually went to 10 different very nice assisted living homes and played the harp. She was making $70 an hour for her playing the harp, and she learned to enjoy just being around the older people, and they just loved her. So that stretched on for years. And she ended up being an activity director in a very nice assisted living home. Also, education, that's a big thing. In California, the schools are going into very liberal practices, and even before this time, we started home education with our kids. And so that we did that up to college level, but they graduated from high school with quite a few college credits already, and then we encouraged them to get their college education without debt. So they found ways to do that. When they were needing to do their general ed courses, some of them overlapped with their high school, so they got a head start that way. But junior college is helpful. It's less expensive in your state, and transfers well. Some of the children also did CLEP testing, where you get credits for a whole semester course or 2 semester courses by studying the material and taking a 45-minute test showing that you had an expertise in that. So online classes are helpful too. So as you're looking ahead to college, it can be a little scary if you have a number of children but there are things you can do to get a head start. And so that was nice. Now, activities. We found that there were a lot of free activities that we could enjoy. Our kids loved going to the big natural history museums and space museums in Los Angeles. We'd go to libraries and parks and do hikes and picnics. And so make use of all of those things there, get them outside, get them seeing new things. And then sports can be very expensive. If you're part of a soccer or baseball or football team, there's a lot of practices, a lot of gear and all. And if you can't do that, realize that it's not that you're not getting recreational activities. You can go on hikes, you can do, like Christy mentioned, backpacking, and there's lots of things that you can do for just keeping in shape and exercise and routine. And these transfer sometimes better into life. You're not always going to be on a soccer or football or baseball team, but you can be active. So encourage your kids to be active in their life. Also, the bartering. You might have a friend that is just a whiz at house cleaning, and you might trade babysitting for her and she can come and do some house cleaning for you, or other skills that she has that you can trade off on. And also learn to do the things that need to be done regularly. My husband always cut his own hair, even for our wedding. He looked nice. Helps if you have a little bit of a wave to your hair. But things like that saved a lot of money over the years. And also doing your own manicures, stretching time between haircuts. I would do that even now, where it kind of wasn't so often that I would need a haircut. I could do the trimming myself. And then making car washes a family event. The younger ones could wash the tires, and the older ones can wash the higher parts of the outside and vacuum inside. So just make it a fun thing, especially in the summertime. It's a nice way to have fun and cool off. And so those are just some things that we thought of as we were wanting to answer that lady's request for more information. And there's a letter that came in to Ann Landers in 1988, and they've reposted it on their on the website. And somebody wrote in to Ann Landers. She was an advice columnist, and said, "Here is my job description. I am a wife, mother, friend, confidant, personal advisor, lover, referee, peacemaker, housekeeper, laundress, chauffeur, interior decorator, gardener, painter, wallpaperer, dog groomer, a manicurist, barber, seamstress, appointment manager, financial planner, bookkeeper, money manager, personal secretary, teacher, disciplinarian, entertainer, psychoanalyst, nurse, diagnostician, public relations expert, dietitian and nutritionist, baker, chef, fashion coordinator, and letter writer for both sides of the family. I'm also a travel agent, speech therapist, plumber and automobile maintenance and repair expert. During the course of my day, and it goes on like that. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but she says, from studies done, it would cost over $75,000 a year to replace me. Well, I went online this week and found that in 1988, that $75,000 in today's cost would be $160,000. For home, and for the homeschooling moms, you can add another $11,000 to $12,000 for versus private school if you're teaching your child at home. And the lady ended her letter this way: "What do I get out of my job? In the absence of a salary, joy, happiness, hugs, kisses, smiles, love, self-respect, and pride in knowing that I have done a full day's work to ensure the physical and emotional well-being of those I love." So if you're at home and you're kind of feeling like, oh, I should go out and earn some money for helping our family finances realize that they've done studies, and the extra car, the extra clothing that you need, the things that you aren't home able to do more, it's just actually not that profitable to take on an extra job when you have children in the home. So just some thoughts on that, and I'll close with some verses. The 1 Timothy 6:6-8 said, "Godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content." And then Hebrews 13:5-6 says, "Let your conversation and in Scripture," that means your manner of life, "be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you, so that you may boldly say, the Lord is my helper." What a wonderful testimony that is to our family when we trust the Lord for those things. And we need to be praying about our needs, letting the children see answers to prayer. And if you want to look at Proverbs 31, a friend of mine who teaches Titus 2 classes says Proverbs 31 verses 10 to the end is the woman a lot of women love to hate. So because she just seems to have it all together, but she's not doing all those things at every minute. But it's a good example of a way that you can help your husband and he can trust in you. And so anyway, those are some things, thoughts to end with, and we hope this new year you will find other ways that we didn't find to be a blessing and a good steward of what God has given you.
Okay, and just a reminder, in honor of our 1-year anniversary, we're going to do our next episode is just going to be a little more of Mom's story and some fun details, but we would love any questions because it is going to be more of a Q&A. So just comment below, or you can send us a message on our Instagram page, but we'll be happy to answer more questions. And thanks again for sticking with us for 1 year. Hope you have a wonderful start to your new year, and we'll see you again next time.
Happy new decade.
Bye.